Hello there guys and welcome to this weekend's live stream of IFMC. I'm JWF1 and we are here at the circuit de Spa Francorchamps in Belgium, and we're going to kick things off with the qualifying session to determine the grid for the feature race. Yes, after a 2-week break, the feeder series action is back. GP2 and GP3 back this weekend here at Belgium. And just a few notes before we get underway then, of course. Sean Galile has a qualifying ban for what he did at Donington. And he was also meant to be joined by Mick Schumacher, but Mick Schumacher isn't actually here because in a similar move to Eldorado, as a result of a request from Academy themselves, Mick Schumacher has served a weekend ban, and as a result, for this weekend, he will be replaced by Etihad Racing test driver Artem Markilov. So that's that really. So Sean Galile not taking part. We'll have 21 cars on the track, and including Artem Markilov as well. Partnering alongside Pierre Gasly. Academy choosing to give Schumacher a weekend ban as a result of the crash that he caused with teammate Pierre Gasly. So as you can see, we've got bright and sunny conditions here for the qualifying session. Whether it will stay like that for GP3, we'll have to wait and see. But without further ado then guys, let's get to the 35-minute qualifying session. So here we are then in the pit lane. As you can see, there are a few dots on the track because it had been raining earlier, but as you just saw with the weather forecast a little earlier on, we aren't expecting rain at all in this session. It is just a little bit damp, but not anything to be concerned about. It isn't expected to rain throughout this session, but anyway, we're at the end of the pit lane with Yuri Vip, so we will wait and get this session underway. Of course, a 35-minute session. And we wait to see who's going to be the first cars on track for this qualifying session. And we already seem to have got one trundling down pit lane. And that looks to be Lance Stroll in the GRM. So Lance Stroll is coming out onto the track. So Lance Stroll, the first man out on track for the GP2 boys this weekend. And Stroll heading down towards the daunting Eau Rouge corner. And of course, GRM have had quite an okay season, although the last 2 weekends have not been ideal for the team and are looking for redemption since they've now come back from the 2-week break as Stroll just comes down the back straight. Also on track we have Sasha Fenestraz in the Lopez Racing Development car, Lucas Jura out on track, Nobuharu Matsushita, Mitch Evans, Yuri Vips, Dan Ticktum out there as well, as is Lando Norris, George Russell, the current championship leader, out on track as well. We also have Sergei Sirotkin out on track as well for EMR. The man who won the sprint race at Donington, Luca Giotto, out on track. So both EMRs coming out at the same time. Louis Razia also out there as well. Artem Markilov making his GP2 debut this weekend has just come out onto the track. So Markilov out on track himself and looking to put an impression on if he can for Academy as he heads down towards the daunting Eau Rouge corner himself. And of course Sean Galile looking on from pit lane as a result of his qualifying ban as Lance Stroll just goes around the section of corners now then, as he will now approach the double right-hander before preparing to start his next flying lap as he comes out of the corner towards the right-hander now then before approaching I think it's called Blanchimont, isn't it? So Stroll now then coming up towards the first bit of that corner, and he'll be the one starting the first timed lap in this session as he just goes around the left-hander before approaching the bus stop chicane. So breaking in towards the bus stop chicane he will go. So just breaking down through into these corners now then, using quite a lot of curb on the outside before approaching the right and left-hander, and now in towards down towards the pit straight, and Stroll now starts his lap as he will now approach turn 1 on the track. As you can see, as mentioned a little earlier, it is a little bit damp on the track, but as mentioned we aren't expecting rain in this session, so not really much to worry about at this stage, as now we come down the hill towards Eau Rouge. And let's see what Stroll is able to do as he goes up the hill towards Eau Rouge, as he'll now head down the Camel Straight before approaching the right and left-hander. And of course he'll be the one setting the benchmark of time for everybody to beat. And of course it has been 2 weeks since GP2's been in action, but they're back for this weekend, of course, here at Spa Francorchamps. And championship leader George Russell looking to see if he could try and increase his lead at the top of the championship ahead of teammate Felix Rosenqvist. So far Red Bull Academy in their first outing in GP2 so far have had a very good season, it must be said, and so far leading both championships, both drivers and teams championships in GP2. As we now head down the hill towards the double left-hander of Pouon, and as you can see, I think that is of course Fenestraz behind him on a lap, and looking to see if he can try and get a good lap in. If he can, as Stroll will now approach the right and left-hander on the track, so flicking the car in, he will go. And so Stroll so far looking to be on a tight lap, as is everybody else that's currently on the track at this stage, as Stroll just goes around that right-hander before approaching the flat-out, the next flat-out right-hander, heading down towards Blanchimont now. Then he will go, and so apologies for the drop of frames, as now coming up towards the left-hander. Then will go Stroll, so about to complete his next flying lap, well, his current flying lap I should say, in towards the bus stop chicane. He'll go, and let's see what Stroll is able to do as we ride in the cockpit of the teenage Canadian. Let's see what the time's going to be for Lance as he goes down the pit straight, and across the line he will go, and it is a 1:56.156 for Lance Stroll. Sasha Fenestraz, what's he able to produce? He goes into second place, third for Lucas Jura. Here comes Mitch Evans. Across the line comes the Kiwi, and he goes fourth with that lap. Fifth for Nobara Mashita. First for Yuri Vips, so Vips getting to the top of the timing sheets. Dan Ticktum crossing the line, and he goes fastest as a dry line starts to emerge down the pit straight. Only second for Lando Norris on that lap. Here comes championship leader George Russell, who slots to second himself, so only P2 for George Russell. Here comes Sergei Sirotkin in the EMR. What can he do? He goes third, so P3 for Sergei. Luca Giotto crosses the line to go fifth. P5 for the young Italian. Here comes Louis Razier in the Willows Grand Prix car. See what he's able to do. He goes 12th with that lap there then, so P12 for him. Here comes Artem Markilov, who's now about to cross the line, and he goes fastest with that lap. So Markilov goes to the top on his first outing in the GP2 car. Markilov going to the top, and as a result, there are all the laps that have done on these particular runs. In fact, so at the moment it is currently Markilov that's currently fastest, with surprisingly I believe it's Dan Ticktum in second place, with George Russell rounding out the top three. So that's how it currently stands at this stage in this qualifying session, as Stroll just goes around the right left-hander before approaching the next few corners on track. Again, I apologise for the drop of frames, as now we come up towards the right-hander now. Then Stroll will approach the bus stop chicane, and let's see, as he will come up towards Blanchimont, who obviously goes straight on to go into the pits. Of course, a very long lap for the GP2 guys, so you could expect a lot of guys in this qualifying session to not complete all their quality laps that they have. These also include in and out laps as well, so they might not be able to have a chance to complete all 4 of their flying laps, as now Stroll goes into the pits, and his mechanics waiting for him there. And let's see then, as he's currently 8th at this stage. Of course, Markilov at the top in his first outing in GP2. Whether his teammate for this weekend, Pierre Gasly, and of course Felix Rosenqvist will have anything to say. The man who's taken pole in all 3 races so far. We'll have to wait and see. Rosenqvist still looking for a first victory this season, it must be said, despite taking those pole positions. As we look at Markilov, who's going back into the pits, and in the academy car, as he will go around the left-hander before going straight on into the pits. And again, I apologise for the drop of frames, as Markilov into the pits he goes, and his mechanics will be waiting for him. We'll have a rundown of what the top 5 currently looks like at this stage, as Markilov pulls into his box. And let's see then, so let's see the top 5. So it's Markilov, Ticktum, Russell, Sirotkin and Norris. That's what it currently stands at this stage. So that's how it looks at the moment. So we're in pit lane with Norman Nato. Nato not having quite a good season, it must be said, at the moment, compared to teammate Lando Norris. And looking to see if he can try and amend that this weekend. Again, I apologise for the drop of frames. And so that's that, as we have some cars out on track. Pierre Gasly out on track for Academy. And of course, I believe he did win at Donington, of course. The last time GP2 was in action. For the feature race, that is. And but unfortunately the sprint race didn't go out according to plan for the Frenchman, but still a good weekend nonetheless for Academy, despite the hiccup in the sprint race. And Gasly just goes around the left-hander as he will now come up towards turn 8 and then up to turn 9. And so coming out of the corner up towards turn 9 we will go, and using quite a lot of curb on the outside before approaching P1. Gasly preparing to start his next flying lap, going through these corners now then, well, his first flying lap I should say. And at the moment Gasly finds himself, I think, in the top 4 in the Drivers' Championship. I think 4th at the moment. I could be wrong on that, but I believe he is either 3rd or 4th in the Drivers' Championship at this stage. Gasly clearly upping his pace after a disastrous season 3 last season. And it has been confirmed as well that Gasly is expected is to leave GP2 at the end of this season. It's looking more likely he will be at the top class next season, but which team he will be at remains to be seen. Of course, there are a few seats available. A lot of people possibly looking at potentially Shadow, if that is the case, being at that team, or even Mars as well, as they still have 2 drivers still yet to be announced at that team. And also I think another team that has vacant seats, if I'm correct. I'm trying to think if anybody else has got vacant seats at the moment in top class. Well, Bud Light Lime has one as well. Bud Light Lime still yet to confirm some drivers for next season, especially considering they're looking for somebody to replace Giovinazzi next season, because let's not forget Giovinazzi is moving to Martini next season, so maybe Gasly could have a loan deal to that team. It might be a loan deal, it could be sold to another team, but we'll wait and see what goes on with his future. But he is expected to join the top class next season, and after what will be his 4th season now in GP2, as Gasly has just started his lap, just to let you know. On track with him we have Alex Lynn out there as well. We also have Felix Rosenqvist, Lance Stroll, Norman Nato, Jolyon Palmer, Joel Eriksson, Dan Ticktum, Yuri Vips, Santiago Iriscia, of course Galiles looking on from the pit lane. Mitch Evans out there as well. We also have De Vries, Lucas Jura, and that's it. They are the guys currently out on track at this stage. Again, I apologise for the drop of frames, as you just saw there. Gasly just went out of the corner with no name, which is turn 9. See, now he just goes through P1. And so he'll head now down towards the right and left-hander on the track. And he'll be approaching towards the end of Sector 2 quite soon, looking to see if he can try and get on pace with teammate Artem Markulov, who currently heads the board at the moment in the Academy car. He will now come around the double right-hander now on the track. Around he will go, as he will now head out of the corner towards Blanchimont now then. And so now around Blanchimont will go Pierre Gasly. And let's see if this is going to be a competitive time. He will now approach the bus stop chicane. The Frenchman looking to see if he could try and beat Artem Markulov, his teammate for this weekend, off the top. Gasly now then through the chicane. And let's see, Gasly now then around the final few corners as he comes down the pit straight and across the line he will go. Sorry for the drop of frames. And he goes fastest with that lap. So Gasly goes to the top. It's currently in Academy 1-2. Gasly fastest at this stage. Alex Lynn then beats him. So Lynn now goes to the top of the timing sheets in the Macamo. Only 3rd for Felix Rosenqvist. 4th for Lance Stroll. Time's looking to improve now because the track is starting to dry out a bit. As now Nato goes through the bus stop chicane. Let's see what Norman Nato is able to do on this lap as he heads down the pit straight. And across the line goes the Frenchman. And he goes 4th fastest with that lap. So P4 for Norman Nato. Here comes Jolyon Palmer. Across the line he goes, and he goes 3rd with that lap in the Willows Grand Prix car. Joel Eriksson slots to 2nd. He obviously had a good weekend at Donington, and he's looking to continue that this weekend. Improving for Ticktum to go up to 6th. 4th for teammate Vips. So Vips looking quite strong around here. 3rd for Santiago Iriscia. Here comes Mitch Evans across the line. He goes 10th with that lap. P10 for the Kiwi. As here comes Nick De Vries now then, currently 21st. Let's see what De Vries is able to do in the GRM. He goes now through the bus stop chicane. And let's see what Nick is able to do then. Around the right and left hander he'll go before heading down the pit straight, and across the line goes Nick De Vries. And he goes 4th fastest with that P4 for Nick De Vries. Lucas Jura now then heading down the pit straight, and the Austrian driver obviously looking at an improvement and goes 8th with that lap. So P8 for Jura. And there you have it. So at the moment, it is currently Lynn now at the top of the timing sheets in that Macamo car. So Lynn currently heading the board. We'll have a look at the top 5 once he goes back into the pits. So Alex Lynn currently fastest at the moment as the conditions start to improve all the time. So we could expect some faster lap times from guys who haven't come out this time around, but did a little earlier on when the track was damp and there was a bit of a wet patch down in towards La Source a little bit earlier on. But now Lynn just going around the Blanchimont, and he will go straight on into pit lane where the bus stop chicane is. So in he goes then, into the pits goes Alex Lynn, as we have just over 22 minutes of this qualifying session remaining, and we'll have a quick look then and see what the leaderboard looks like then, as Lynn will now peel into pit lane. And let's see now then, and let's see the top 5. So it's Lynn from Ericsson, Euricia, De Vries and Gasly. That's what the top 5 currently stands at this stage. Of course, Sean Gallard not taking part in this qualifying session as a result of his qualifying ban for what he did at the Melbourne Hairpin on the feature race. So that's that really, as we wait for another set of cars to come out onto the track. So far we haven't got that at the moment. We've still got 2 cars out there who've just completed laps, still yet to come into the pits, although that won't stop most of the guys who are in the pit lane right now from going out. Of course, it's obviously got a spawn system in place for qualifying where only a maximum of 14 can be in the pit lane. So just for anybody who's wondering how it works with Grand Prix 3, and I think it's a similar system to Grand Prix 4 as well, just for any of you guys wondering out there. So Lucas Jura going back into the pits in the Vortex racing car, and so Jura now then goes into the pits, and as you can see, pulls into pit lane, and let's see what he is able to do. And well, unable to do, as he will be relying information back to the team. And so far Alex Lynn on a 153.899 at the moment, as there is some pit activity out there at the moment. I do apologise for my dog barking. I think somebody's knocked on the door. So Lando Norris just goes up towards Eau Rouge now down on the track, and he'll head down towards the Kemmel Straight before approaching the right, left and right on the track. And so now in towards the chicane we go, and so now in towards the next corners on the track we go, as he'll now head down towards the right-hander. And of course Norris currently 17th, but we wouldn't be surprised if he makes an improvement at all. He was out on track when the track was kind of damp at the beginning. Sasha Fenestraz out on track, as is Sergei Sirotkin in the EMR. Jolyon Palmer out on track for Willows Grand Prix. Masashita's out there as well, as is George Russell. Pierre Gasly out there as well, as is Luca Giotto. Nick De Vries out there as well, as is Joel Eriksson. Felix Rosenquist, Alex Lynn out there as well, and we'll be expecting Norman Nato to join these guys quite soon then. Norris now then going through the double right-hander on the track, as he will now go through the section of corners before heading down towards Blanchimont. And smell a bit of burning in my household. Probably somebody burning stuff in the allotments behind me. But anyway, Norris now then coming up towards the bus stop chicane, and Norris about to start his next flying lap. Currently down in 17th, but yet again I wouldn't be surprised if he will improve on that, as the track is now pretty much dry now. There is the racing lines now fully dry for these guys, so no worries there as far as they're concerned. As Norris now then goes in towards turn 1 now then. Out the corner he will go, using as much of the outside as possible, coming out the corner before heading down the hill towards the support pit straight. And then he'll go up towards the daunting Eau Rouge corner. And so through he will go, as he will now head down towards the back straight. And now in towards the next chicane. And let's see what Norris is able to do, as he will come around these next section of corners. And so far looks to be a tidy lap from the young man from Bristol. He is from Bristol, just to let you know. Even the local news video that I watched, which had his interview, even said he's from Bristol, so I'm just going to go with that. So through towards turn 9 he will go, as they now head down the hill towards Pirwan. And so far, as mentioned, a tidy lap so far for the young Brit, and obviously won the feature race at Bahrain a few weeks ago, but now looking to try and see if he can get a second victory to bounce himself back into the championship fight if he can, as he just goes through the section of corners before approaching the double right-hander on the track. His Bridgestone's working to good effect at the moment as they come around the right-hander on the track before approaching the back straight, before approaching the chicane. And so through into towards Blanchimont we will go, and now in towards the second part, as he will now go up towards the bus stop chicane, and in towards the chicane then we will go, and let's see what Lando Norris is able to do. Is this going to be an improvement then for the Brit? Norris now then coming down the pit straight, and across the line he will go, and he goes up to second, so Norris gets himself onto the front row at this stage as we look at Sasha Fenestraz in the Lopez Racing Development car. Sirotkin behind him, also on a lap as they go through the bus stop. Let's see what Fenestraz is able to do. And the Frenchman crosses the line to go third fastest with that lap, as it's only 14th that time around for Sergei Sirotkin. Jolien Palmer crosses the line to go third, so P3 for Jolien. Here comes Masushita, who heads down the pit straight. Masushita looking at an improvement, and he goes 5th for that lap, so P5 for Nobuhiro Masushita. Only 10th for championship leader George Russell on that lap. Here comes Pierre Gasly. Is this going to be an improvement then for the Frenchman, as he just negotiates through the section of corners? Gasly now then across the line goes the Frenchman, and he goes up to 5th with that lap there. Then Giotto goes up to 10th, so he gets into the top 10 with that lap. Nick de Vries now then approaching the bus stop chicane himself. Let's see what he's able to do as he flicks the car in through the corners, using quite a lot of curb on the outside before heading through the section of corners. Now heading down the pit straight, and de Vries goes up to 8th for that lap. P5 for Joel Eriksson, so both of them improving on that lap there. Felix Rosenqvist now then across the line he will go, and he goes fastest. So Rosenqvist now then goes to the top of the timing sheet. So Rosenqvist currently on the pole at the moment. Alex Lynn then beats him back, so Lynn now gets the pole position back and moves back onto the top, so beating Rosenqvist. So fun while it lasted there for Felix Rosenqvist, but Lynn back to the top of the timing sheet. Here comes Norman Nato in the light-based Sony racing car, as he will now head towards the chicane. So through the chicane he will go, using quite a bit of curb on the outside, and here comes Norman Nato now then. Let's see what he is able to do, and he goes into 10th with that lap. Into the top 10 he will go, as his teammate Lando Norris goes into pit lane, and nobody else on the lap. So at the moment it is Lynn at the top, with Rosenqvist now in second place at the moment, and then I believe it is Norris who's running at the top 3 in this qualifying session. We'll have probably a thorough look as soon as maybe one of the top 3 has gone into pit lane, which we are unable to see, I'm afraid, as Norman Nato going back into pit lane this lap. We'll have a look at Sasha Fenestraz, see if he can see what the top 5 currently stands as at the moment, as his mechanics wait for him to come back into pit lane. Just under 15 minutes remaining in the session. We are 7 minutes away from the 5:30 mark. Just over half an hour away from the qualifying session for GP3. Lynn, Rosenqvist, Norris, Palmer and Fenestraz. That's what the top 5 currently looks like at this stage. There you go then. So Lynn, Rosenqvist, Norris, Palmer and Fenestraz. That's what it currently stands at the moment in this qualifying session. Lynn gapping himself between him and Rosenqvist to 0.4 of a second at the moment in this qualifying session. As here is Norman Nato, of course, heading back into pit lane this lap as he just goes through P1. And as he will now head towards the right and left-hander now then on the track. And through he will go. And he just flicks the car in, using quite a bit of curb on the outside, and then he will approach the double right-hander, then he'll go. And of course we will be seeing Nato go into pit lane. And now heading down towards Blanchimont. And so through and towards Blanchimont he will go. And let's see now then what Nato is able to do, as he now goes in pit lane. And I apologise for the drop of frames yet again there then. Anybody else on track now then? Yes, Lucas Jura is out on track along with Lance Stroll, as they just go through these section of corners. Jura obviously going back in, obviously at the moment currently P15 at the moment in this qualifying session, and Jura will approach the corner with no name, which is turn 9, and he'll head down a hill using quite a lot of curb on the outside there. Then Lance Stroll also going out on track, as is Artem Markelov at the moment, looking to see if he can get himself up there in his one-off appearance this weekend in IFMC GP2. There's Yuri Vips out on track now then for RSPCA Racing. He just goes through the right-hander using quite a lot of curb on the outside. Dan Ticktum out there as well, as is Louis Razia. Lando Norris out there, as is championship leader George Russell, who's way down in 13th place at the moment. So Russell looking to see if he can try and improve quite soon, as he just comes out of those corners now then. As through goes Sergei Sorokin. Mitch Evans out there as well. Masashita coming out, as is Fenestraz, and we will be expecting Giotto to join them quite soon as Yura comes up towards the bus stop chicane as he's about to start his next flying lap. And so far Yura finding himself in 15th place, looking to see if he can improve, if he can, and maybe get the car into the top 10 if he can. As Giotto, you just saw there in the background, is about to come out onto the track for EMR. Luckily for Ticktum's sake there, I think it's Ticktum we're with. No, sorry, Lucas Yura there. Again, I'm getting confused with the Vortex and the RSPCA racing car. Luckily for Yura, Giotto didn't come out into the path of him there, so luckily for him, Giotto didn't hold him up on his flying lap as he comes down the Kemmel Straight towards the right, left, right chicane. And so through into the corner then goes Yura, and he'll now just get the car pointed in there. Through the right hand there he'll go. Obviously it's a little bit earlier than what we used to with Belgium. Belgium used to be at the middle of the calendar, and though it still kind of is, it's a little bit earlier than what it used to be. Of course Belgium was always after the German and Hungarian races, but now this season it's before the British Grand Prix. So that's that really. San Marino taking Belgium's slot as a result of Belgium moving forward. As now going through Pouhon goes Lucas Yura, as he will now approach the right and left-hander. And let's see if Lucas Yura is on an improvement now then, as he uses a lot of curb on the outside before approaching the double right-hander now then. Yura using quite a lot of curb on the outside, through and towards the right-hander he will go, as he heads down towards Blanchimont. And let's see what Yura is able to do now then, as he just goes around Blanchimont. And now in towards the section of corners, up towards the bus stop chicane then will go Yura. And let's see if this is going to be an improvement for him now then. Flicking the car in, and Yura now then is going to come around these final few corners now then, and across the line he will go. And what's he going to be? It's not an improvement. In fact, he stays 15th with that lap, as Giotto behind him has just started the lap. Here comes Lance Stroll down in 19th at the moment. Stroll appears to be struggling, but is this going to be an improvement for the Canadian as he just comes out of the chicane? And Stroll now then will cross the line, and this is going to be an improvement for Lance Stroll. Across the line he'll go, and it is, but only up into 12th place and not even getting into the top 10. Markelov goes up to 3rd. So up to P3 goes the Russian. Markelov up to 3rd place with that lap. Here comes Yuri Vips, just going around the bus stop chicane. And let's see what Vips is able to do now then, as he heads down the pit straight, and across the line he'll go to up to 4th for that lap. So Yuri Vips with a big improvement there. Up to 10th goes Dan Ticktum, so he gets into the top 10. RSPCA Racing looking quite strong, both of their drivers this weekend. An improvement for Razia, but he's still 21st, effectively last because of Golile's qualifying ban. No improvement for Norris, he stays 5th with that lap. Here comes championship leader George Russell. Is this going to be an improvement for the Brit? Across the line he will go, and it is. He goes up to 5th with that lap, so getting in front of Norris as a result. Only on row 3 at the moment. Sergei Sorokin. Is this going to be an improvement for the Russian? Sorokin crosses the line. It is, but only up into 12th place with that lap. Mitch Evans crosses the line to go up into 18th only, so Evans struggling around this track. Here comes Nobuharu Matsushita in the Holy Trinity Racing car, the only Holy Trinity Racing car competing in this session, because of course Galile has that qualifying ban. Through to the second part of Blanchimont before approaching the bus stop chicane. And let's see what Matsushita is able to do then, as he just goes through the section of corners added on the track. Through the final few corners goes Nobuharu Matsushita, and across the line he will go, and he doesn't improve. He stays 13th for that lap. Still 8th for Fenestraz, no improvement for the Frenchman, as here comes Lucas Yura. as he just goes through the second part of Blanchimont there then. As in towards the bus stop chicane he'll go as he goes into pit lane. Giotto on a lap behind him. I don't know if Euro held him up there, but we will see as he's currently down in 19th place. Giotto now then heading down the pit straight and across the line goes the young Italian. Is this going to be an improvement? And it isn't. He stays 19th, so whether Euro held him up or not, I don't know. But that's that then really. But at the moment, it is still Lynn at the top of the timing sheets at the moment, as we have now just over 8 minutes of this qualifying session remaining. We're at the 5:30 mark now then, half an hour away from the GP3 qualifying session, which is coming up quite soon. So through in towards the chicane there goes Sergei Sirotkin, as he will now head into pit lane. And so far, currently in 12th place at the moment. Both EMR still outside the top 10 at the moment. And looking to see if they can improve that, if they're able to get one more flying lap in time with the amount of time they've got left in the session. Under 8 minutes now remaining, as Sirotkin will go straight on into pit lane. So into the pit lane goes Sirotkin, and he'll flick on the pit limiter then. And into the pit lane then goes Sergei Sirotkin. And there are his mechanics waiting for him. And so he's in the pit lane now then. Of course, as mentioned, Lynn at the top. Gasly down in 10th at the moment. He's looking to see if he can improve at the moment, as the top two of both Lynn and Rosenquist are expected to come out quite soon. Looks like those two are going to be duking it out for pole position, it must be said. Lynn having some good pace around here at Spa, as he just comes out of pit lane. I think he's the first to come out, unless there's somebody in front. Nope, Giotto that is. He's on track, who's just coming back in pit lane. So Lynn now then coming out on track for Panasonic Mikamo Motorsport. And the team ran by the same man who's running Monster Grand Prix at the moment, Daniel Mikamo. And up towards the hill then goes Alex Lynn, as he just goes through these section of corners. And so now heading down the back straight now then towards the right, left, right corners now then, as we head down towards the Kemmel Straight before approaching the chicane, as he just goes through these section of corners. Sorry about that. It's now going through Pouhon then goes Alex Lynn, as he'll now head down towards the section of corners. Through he will go, and around the right left chicane he goes before approaching the double right-hander. And so through in towards the section of corners, and Lynn is preparing to start his next flying lap, as is Palmer behind. We also have Santiago Uisha, so both Mikamos out on track. Joel Eriksson out there as well, as is Pierre Gasly, Louis Razier, Felix Rosenquist, Norman Nato, Lance Stroll, Nick de Vries out there as well. Lucas Jura, sorry for the drop of frames, it keeps on, for some reason it does that every time I flick through someone. Behaviour Sen OBS, as Tictum out there as well. We also have Markilov out on track, and that's that really. Lynn has just started his lap. Is there anybody else in the pit lane? In fact, no, it's just Galar watching on as a result of his qualifying ban. But Lynn now then coming down through the support pit straight before approaching the daunting Eau Rouge corner, looking to see if he can improve on his pole position time. Felix Rosenquist, the man currently in second place, also out on track, as we have just under 5 minutes of the session remaining, and it's possibly Lynn's last flying lap as well, as it's a near 2 minute lap. Luckily it's just under 2 minutes for these guys, but still near 2 minutes for these guys to go around the track, as Lynn now then just going through the right-hander on the track, as he uses quite a lot of curb on the outside before approaching the right-hander. Down the hill he goes through turn 8, and then approaching the corner with no name, which is turn 9. And Lynn at the moment on a tight lap, same with Palmer behind him as well, his former teammate from Willow's Grand Prix. Palmer obviously staying at Willow's Grand Prix, whereas Lynn now part of Panasonic Mikamo Motorsport alongside Santiago Uisha. Through in towards Pouhon then he will go, as he will now head down towards the right and left-hander on the track. And so through in towards the right-hander he goes, and then into the left. as he uses quite a bit of curb on the outside there, then before approaching the double right-hander. And now through towards the second part of that corner now, then before down towards the straight before approaching Blanchimont, as he's now in sector 3 now. Then is this going to be an improvement then for Alex Lynn as he comes up towards the left-hander, as the sparks continue to come off the back of his Macamo car, heading in towards the bus stop chicane. Then goes Alex Lynn, and let's see what he's able to do now. Through the left, then the right, using quite a lot of curve on the outside through the final few corners on the track. Then we go, as he now heads down the pit straight, and it is not an improvement. He stays on 1 minute 53.357 as an improvement for Palmer, but he stays 7th with that. Only a slight improvement there from Jolyon. Here comes Santiago Uicia, Lynn's teammate, as he will approach the bus stop chicane himself. And let's see what he's able to do as we go. As we have just over 3 minutes of the session remaining, in towards the final few corners goes Uicia, down the pit straight and across the line he goes, and he goes into second with that lap. So P2 for Uicia. It's currently a Macamo front row lockout at the moment, as up to 3rd goes Joel Eriksson. So 2 guys improving there. Up to 5th goes Pierre Gasly, so an improvement for him there. Then Razia stays where he is at the moment, 21st, but improves on his best time. Here comes Felix Rosenquist. Is this going to be an improvement to try and see if he can get onto the front row and maybe even pole position as we go through the final few corners on the track then? Rosenquist across the line he goes, and he goes up to 3rd only, so only P3 for Felix Rosenquist on that lap. 16th still for Nato, again appearing to struggle in qualifying, it must be said. Here comes Lance Stroll coming around Blanchimont. He will go, and he will now approach the bus stop chicane himself. Into the chicane he goes, through the left, then right-hander, using a lot of curb on the outside, and then in towards the final 2 corners. Let's see what Stroll's able to do then. Across the line he will go, and he goes up to 9th, so Stroll gets into the top 10. His teammate on the other hand doesn't improve and stays 16th with that lap, so a disappointing qualifying session there then for Nick de Vries, and it looks like unlikely he'll do a second flying lap just due to the amount of time we have left. Lucas Jora now heading down the pit straight, under 2 minutes remaining. Jora crosses the line to go up only up to 19th on his final flying lap, so Jora there with a disappointing qualifying session. Dan Ticktum, is this going to be an improvement for the young Brit? It is. He goes up to 4th, so P4 for Dan Ticktum. Artem Markilov, though, spoils that and goes up to 4th himself, so up to P4 goes Artem Markilov, as Uicia is going back into pit lane, and that's that for these guys at least. And anybody else coming out of pit lane, it appears? Well, we should be expecting somebody quite soon in pit lane, but at the moment it is still Lynn at the top of the timing sheets at this stage. We'll try and see if we can find somebody, well, closer, who's in the top 5 at this stage. Uicia coming into pit lane, so we'll have a look. So far it is a Macamo front row lockout at the moment in this qualifying session, so team boss Daniel Macamo keeping himself very happy, it must be said, in this qualifying session. It's Lynn from Uicia, Rosenquist, Markilov and Ticktum. That's what the top 5 currently stands at this stage. And of course Galio obviously having a qualifying ban, Markilov returning to pit lane quite soon. Obviously Belgium, a different sort of track, and more of a high speed track if you think about it, so it's more of a case of who's got the best foot for accelerating, whether it's their right foot or their left foot they use for accelerating, I don't know, but it's who is quick enough to put their foot down around this track essentially here at Spa Francorchamps. 30 seconds now remaining in the session. I doubt we're going to see somebody else coming out onto the track. Well, there isn't actually anybody in the pits, because I don't think there is enough time left for anybody else to do a flying lap. Whether they've got it, even if they have a few more laps left, it seems unlikely now that anybody else is going to be doing another flying lap then. So as Markilov comes around the right-hander, so 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Checkered flag is out, and that is the end of the session. It should say qualifying over possibly when Markilov goes into pit lane, and it does. So there you have it then, guys. That has been it from this qualifying session. As a result, it's Alex Lynn in the Panasonic Macamo Motorsport car that takes pole position, with his teammate Santiago Uicia in second, so that Macamo boys locking out the front row for the feature race. So there you have it then, guys. After all of that, here is the grid for tomorrow's feature race then. It's Alex Lynn who will start on pole position with Santiago Uricia in second. Felix Rosenquist is in third with Artem Markelov on his one-off appearance in GP2 this weekend in fourth place. A brilliant time for him in the academy. Dan Ticktum fifth with Joel Eriksson sixth. Pierre Gasly is in seventh with George Russell in eighth. Yuri Vips ninth. Lance Stroll in 10th. Lando Norris with a lot to do in 11th tomorrow. Julian Palmer only managing 12th. Sasha Fenestras 13th. Sergei Sirotkin 14th. And if we scroll down the rest of the field, and quite close it must be said, but it is Nobuhiro Matsushita in 15th, Nick de Vries in 16th, with Norman Nato 17th, Mitch Evans 18th, Lucas Yoro in 19th, Luca Giotto 20th, Louis Razio in 21st, and due to his qualifying ban, Sean Galisle is in 22nd and last. So there you have it then, guys. That is the grid for tomorrow's feature race for GP2. Hopefully it's going to look to be a very exciting race here at Belgium, and you don't want to miss it tomorrow as well, which will be at quite a later time. I'll get more into that a little bit later on. But stick around now, guys, because coming up next is the qualifying session for IFMC GP3. So if you want to go and grab a quick drink, then you can. But until then, I've been JWF1, and I will see you guys in just a little bit.